Welcome to the Nurse Wellness Podcast, Kadian. I'm so excited you're here. I've been trying to get you here for the longest time. So I'm glad we're finally doing this. Why don't you start off by telling our listeners a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Graduated from American International College in 2006, and I went straight into the ER and have been an ER nurse since then. The last couple of years, 5 years, I've been a travel ER nurse.
Your
So,
audio went out a little bit.
all right,
All right, start from the top. I'll edit this out.
all right. Hello, my name is Kadian Russell. I am a registered nurse, been a ER nurse, to be exact, since 2006. So I graduated from American International College May of 2006, went straight into the ER August 2006 of that year. For the last 5 years, I've been a travel ER nurse. So I've been to New Mexico, I've been to DC, I've been to Rhode Island. I've been to Plymouth. I've been a few other places that I don't want to mention right now, but I've been traveling. Traveling overall is my passion. Nursing is my passion. So I combine the both. So why not travel for work and explore the world at the same time?
Yeah, and that's the beauty of nursing. You can do so many things. And Katie and I met in the ER. We both worked in the ER together. That's where I think I was working there, and then you came in as a new grad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So travel nursing during a pandemic, how has that been? Because, everyone talks about the frontline workers. I mean, you were truly frontline ER, right? You don't know what's coming in.
Right. It definitely has been stressful. Us ER nurses, we would say the ER was ground zero because everyone came through the ER and they obviously went to whatever unit from there. Uh, at the beginning, not knowing what COVID was, it definitely took a toll on me emotionally. At that time, I was at Cape Cod Hospital. So I was out there by myself, my family, loved ones, a couple hours away. So not being able to see them definitely was heartbreaking. So we coped with it the best that we could. Right now, we are still seeing COVID cases, but it's not as bad as it was before. I'm not going to get into the whole vaccine and being vaccinated. That's everybody's choice and their opinion. So I'm not here to discuss vaccination. I'm just saying the cases definitely aren't as severe, so to speak, as they were in the beginning.
Yeah, and where do you think our profession is now in terms of the pandemic? We're still in the pandemic. I know when, the pandemic first hit, we didn't know a lot. So yes, stress levels were high, but like yourself, you still showed up, right? Because you said in the beginning, your passion is nursing and traveling. So you stayed true to that.
Right.
So getting through, quote unquote, all of that and where
Mhm.
we are now, how do you think nurses are doing, or should I ask, how are you doing in terms of just where you are now? Do you feel like you fully recovered or caught up from that whole experience?
I don't think you'll really fully recover from it because what we've seen in the ER, what we saw on other nurses, what they've seen in the ICU, med surge, it definitely it takes a toll on you. It's emotionally draining, physically draining. So I don't think I've caught up from it. I've just learned to cope better. I have a excellent support system. So if I needed to vent about something, I can easily call somebody. I can call my parents. I can call my pastor. I can call my best friend. I can call my sorority sisters. Um, I have a good support system. Unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of nurses are leaving the field because of burnout and not feeling appreciated like we once were at the beginning. We were looked at as heroes, and now it's almost like nurses are easily replaced. And that there was always a shortage of nursing. Now the shortage is even greater. So that puts more stress on those of us that are left behind working in our different departments.
Yeah, it's kind of like, they gave us our capes when the pandemic hit. We were all over TV, and now they took the capes away. They put
Right.
they put them in the back closet. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But you're so right. The profession, we've suffered from stress, burnout. We suffered from the nursing shortage, and now we're in a nursing shortage crisis, which is, definitely impacting society and the healthcare system. So,
Right.
yeah, it's really, really, really tough, the position we're in now. And I know a lot of nurses are leaving, but a lot of nurses are also starting their own business.
Exactly.
What are your thoughts on entrepreneurship, nurses starting their business, and what do you think is the motivating factor behind that?
I'm all for it. Definitely. The motivating factor is right now, nurses are being let go because of decisions they have made. So, in order to secure themselves and their future and their family, they have to make some decisions. And being your own boss is a great decision. You go to work when you feel like it. You don't have anybody telling you, oh, you're being let go. Um, you won't have to wonder where the next paycheck is coming from or how your family is going to eat. So I definitely support nurses being their own bosses 100%.
And I think this pandemic was bittersweet, right? So we know the bitter part, but the sweet part is nurses have been able to tap into abilities and strengths that they didn't even know they had. Like no one was thinking about starting their own business or
Right,
getting a coach or, managing their team. But it's so amazing to see nurses blossom in
right.
that sense. But we still obviously have to think about the healthcare system and the health of, society. But it's so great to see and be in a room with nurses who are bosses, like nurse bosses, like that's so cool. And I know you have also started a business called Precious Memories Hospice Home Care. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what made you want to start that business in particular?
So Precious Memories Hospice is, like Wendy said, a home care agency. Not necessarily, well, cater to hospice patients, but we also cater to individuals that just need basic help, whether it be assistance with their daily living, shopping, doctor's appointment. You don't necessarily have to be a hospice patient to access our services. In 2015, I lost both paternal grandparents. My grandmother died April, and my grandfather died November. They were married for just about right under 70 years. So we knew if my grandmother was to go first, then we should start preparing for my grandfather. And that's pretty much what happened. In between that, that same year, my brother got into a very bad car accident. He was in a coma for a month. He was in rehab. He was doing well. And we were actually preparing to get him home. I got approved by the state to start doing some renovations to my house to make it handicap accessible because I was planning on bringing my brother from rehab to live with us. And unfortunately, January 2017, we got a phone call that morning saying that they went to check on him and he wasn't breathing. So they did everything to bring him back and nothing helped. So, that was obviously a challenging time. That's actually when I started travel nursing because that was my way of coping and my avenue of healing. So last year, while I was away in Florida with my pastor, her mom was actually diagnosed with cancer the ending of April. And I was actually able to go spend about a week with her mom, help her and everything. And I believe it was 2 days, the Friday before Mother's Day. So between diagnosis and death, it was about 3 weeks. And being there and being able to help her and seeing how appreciative she was, that's when I said, maybe this is something that I can I don't want to say capitalize on, but something that another avenue of nursing that I should explore. And I always knew I wanted to do something to for the memory of my grandparents and my brother.
Oops, can you hear me?
My grandmother had Alzheimer's. I can hear you.
Oh,
So can you hear me?
now I can.
All right. So precious memories. It just seemed like a perfect fit. Deal with people end of life. I didn't think that my brother was at his end of life, but um he was, and I had taken some time off from work to, you know, care for him. I was back and forth to the rehab literally daily. I would sit with him for hours. So taking care of my brother, being there for my grandparents, this was just my way of honoring their memory.
Amazing. Such an amazing way to honor their memory. And I love the name Precious Memories, because I think we forget that, right? In the midst of everything that's going on, we forget to create those memories. I call them golden moments.
Right.
No, we have to definitely create golden moments. And I also think it's interesting that you are an ER nurse, so acute, right? And then you
Right.
open a hospice home care, which is like on the other side of things.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so being a hospice nurse myself, I was in hospice for a few years. It's such an honor to be in a family's life during that time. So I think what you're doing is wonderful and admirable, and it's a service that's needed because home care, when you have someone on hospice, home care is hard on patients. And even for me, my aunt was on hospice, and I watched her sisters move from sisters to caregivers and needed so much assistance. Despite being on hospice, they could have definitely used your services, because hospice services don't fill all the gaps.
Right.
I think what you're doing really fills that need for families. So what kind of things do you do here that kind of differentiate you from, I guess, a traditional like hospice home care? Do you do like any education? Do you have, what kind of services, I guess, do you provide for families?
All right. So from the beginning, I obviously introduced myself to the family. I personally will be the one to go out to sit with each individual family to find out what their needs are, and the care will be personalized to that particular patient. I'll find out, obviously, if they're going on vacation, if they need somebody to go with them to help care for that family member, I would provide that service. Also, unfortunately, with hospice comes the conversation of death. So I have somebody on staff that will help with that planning to help ease the stress on the family, so that when that transition does happen, everything has already been in place. Coming eventually will be music therapy and massage therapy. So I have those two individuals ready, speaking with them to come on board whenever a family requests that. They just want somebody to come in and play some music for them for a couple of hours or an hour. And I have a massage therapist that's willing to do house visits. So it's all about the patient.
Yeah, that's amazing. It sounds very holistic, which is so needed. During this time. It's about the patient, the families, and I love you said what you said about vacations, because it made me think that, someone who's dying may want to travel somewhere, right? And the family may just not know, and that could be a deciding factor. You can really be the solution to that problem and
Right.
help them make that decision to say, hey, I have someone to go with you. You don't have to worry about it, right? You guys can just go and really create those precious memories,
Right.
which I think is amazing. And I know you're in Connecticut. Do you service any other states within the nation, or is it just Connecticut for now?
Right now, I'm starting off with Connecticut, building up the business, and then eventually I'll be spreading out to neighboring states like Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey. But right now, Connecticut.
Okay. Do you offer any telehealth services? Because I can even see people calling in with questions, maybe a service, where families can just call in and say, hey, I have a question, right? Like a triage system. Is that something you're considering, or do you have it now, or are you considering it for the future?
Definitely considering it for the future, but for right now, I'll tell any family member my phone never turns off. Even now, my parents would call me 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, especially my mother, just to say hi because they're retired and she's not sleeping. So my number will be accessible 24/7. And if there's whenever I bring on other nurses, it'll be rotating, but there will always be somebody that will be able to speak to you, even if it's 2 o'clock in the morning. If you want to know, should you go to the hospital or if you should call the doctor, definitely be there to give you some advice.
No, this is great. And are you working or in the process of working with healthcare institutions as a consultant or home care institution? If someone's listening and they want to possibly collaborate with you, is that something you're open to?
Oh, definitely. Definitely open to collaboration because I there's no I tell people there's no I in team. I can't do it all. So it will be definitely helpful to have somebody on team that I can tackle this with.
Yeah, and I think a lot of our listeners, they're in the healthcare system, and I think what Kadian offers would really benefit your population because, being a nurse myself, I remember being in healthcare and you're trying to get home care for someone and you hit a wall, right? And
Right,
that's when I think your number would be so valuable to say, hey, you can call this person and they'll help you through. So many times you have to send patients home without an answer, with them
right,
feeling worried, and what you're offering is just really that solution. So if you're listening to this and you are in healthcare in a clinical setting, I think this is something you should definitely bring back to your institution as a possible solution for the patients and families you serve. Because I know people run into that, especially now with COVID and like we said, the nursing shortage. It's not a lot of nurses to go around, even in home care,
right.
even in hospice care. So this is definitely a great solution. Katie, and how can people get in contact with you if they have more questions?
So my phone number is 860-595-7585. My email is preciousmemorieshospice@gmail.com, or you can also go on to the website preciousmemoriescare.com and fill out a contact us form and it will come directly to me.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And do you offer any presentations, like if an institution wanted you to come in and kind of present your services? Do you offer anything like that?
Yeah, I'm willing to do presentations. You, Wendy, know I'm not I'm not big on public speaking, but when I need to, I'll deliver.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, because I can see you going in and do lunch and learns just to kind of talk about the business and the benefits of it. I think I could just see this like really blowing up more because it's already blown. But yeah, I think this is such a great service. And Katie, and before we go, can I do a rapid fire with you?
Oh boy. Go ahead.
All right. So let me know the first thing that comes to your mind to answer the question or finish the statement.
Okay.
Wellness means
Taking care of me first.
I know I'm stressed when.
I start biting my fingernails,
My go-to stress management solution is
watching Netflix.
one thing I would tell an aspiring nurse about entering the nursing profession is.
It's gonna get hard. You're gonna have those stressful days, those stressful shits, but if your heart is truly into it, don't give up.
Yes. One thing you learned about yourself during this pandemic
I'm
is,
strong. I'm stronger than I thought I was.
ooh, yes, you got to tap into things you didn't even know you had. And when was the last time you had a belly laugh? Uh-oh, you're frozen.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're back.
All right. Last time was a couple weeks ago, when I went bowling with a few of my sorority sisters. Yeah, that was a good outing.
And you keep mentioning sorority. Some of them may be listening. Come on, let them know who you are.
Shout out to my sorors of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated.
Yes, awesome. All right, Katie. So is there anything you would like to say to our listeners before we close this interview?
I'm available. I'm giving this 110%. If you have any questions, any concerns, feel free to reach out to me. I'm at your service.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for
Thanks.
all that you're doing in the ER, all that you're doing, in hospice home care. You're so needed. And thank you for your service.
Ada. Thanks, Wendy.